There's nothing I can do about it.
What's up?
My witnesses are angry at me. Cordio minor. I'm not going to finish today, you know, because my last two at work. If I need it, I'll show it to you. If I need it, I'll show it to you.
What does it have to do with it?
I can tell you. It's the process. If I need it, I'll show it.
Just say it's work product. Back off.
It's work product. It's work.
You know, say back off.
All right. I'm not going to go outside. Go out there and tell them I'm doing the best I can. You just don't want me to call Digley and Proffer. I know that's reverse psychology.
The thing stuff, the floor stuff.
No, I'm not going to tell you that right now.
Of course, you could see me get angry.
There's some pressure on me saying, and you can say it to yourself practically. You may laugh, but those poor devils are dying down there.
Oh, that's interesting.
couple minutes.
No, see, that's going to take too long.
And the Tamasi piece. I'm calling my files. I got them. This He's the one who actually did the reading. But I definitely want to get Tamasi, and Pete's onto this. I think I can do that. Could be close in 2 hours. But there's no way I can start and finish. There's no way. Good news. He's going to have another day. He did the railroad stuff. He did more than that.
Remain seated. Court's back in session.
Okay, are we ready to bring the jury in?
Yes, Judge Cedric, I am certain I'm not going to be able to finish because my last 2 witnesses are Ed Bigley and Leroy Parker, and they're the ones who did the trajectory analysis, and they're not going to go on and on and on, but they're going to go on and on. I mean, they're not going to be short witnesses. They're not going to be short witnesses. And I have a few more to call. So I can put on probably another hour and a half of testimony, but then if we want to start with Ed Bigley, that's going to go well past.
Well, I think that we spend a lot of time talking about what we're going to do, and we spend a lot of time having evidence marked and stuff. I would just like to spend more time having testimony. So,
We can go forward.
thank you. Let's bring the jury in.
Jurors are present.
Thank you. You may continue.
Thank you, Ronald. Detective Ramirez, I'm sorry to take the question out of sequence, but I wanted to turn your attention back to the Springfield pistol that was found and was in his car. The hammer of that pistol was thumbed back, is that correct?
Yes, it was.
Now, I had, prior to the break, I had asked you if, Mr. Zimmerman's interview began with a statement by Captain Miles, look, we're treating him as a victim, and there's no reason to believe anything other than that. And you said you didn't recall, but you asked to listen to a portion of her review and listen to a portion of the videotape interviews with Mr. Zimmerman. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you looked at that, and is it fair to say that indeed that's what Captain Miles told Mr. Zimmerman at the outset?
Yes, it is.
During this interview, the entirety of it, is it fair to say that there was only one question put to Mr. Zimmerman about if he pointed a gun, or did you threaten Mr. Apperson with a gun during the exchange of words?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman was never asked if he picked up a gun after the exchange of words. Is that correct?
No.
There's only one question.
No. Yeah.
He wasn't asked about anything happening after the exchange
No.
of words.
Yeah. That's correct.
And there was no follow-up with Mr. Zimmerman about how that Springfield pistol got to be in that hidden compartment, was there?
No.
There was no follow-up with Mr. Zimmerman about how it was that he was at the hospital taking the 9mm Glock out of the car and his good friend arriving at the hospital at the same time to get the backpack and the Glock. There were no questions put to Zimmerman about that. Is that correct?
I did ask him about the backpack, if that's what you're asking.
Thank you. But, and during the interview, he told you, yeah, had the Glock and it was in the backpack. And in fact, the Lake Mary Police Department had already seized the Glock. Is that correct?
He told me where the backpack was in the vehicle and that he took it with him to the hospital.
And that's when Officer Call took the pistol.
That's correct.
So, but my question is no one ever asked Mr. Zimmerman how it happened that Zimmerman's best friend was at the hospital at the same time to collect the backpack and the Glock.
No.
If I could take one moment.
Yes, you may.
Your Honor, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Detective Hernandez, Mr. Lefebvre asked you about getting consent or not getting consent from Mr. Zimmerman to search his vehicle. I just wanted to ask a couple of questions to clarify that. Was consent ever asked of Mr. Zimmerman?
No.
So let me ask you, from that, let me ask you this. Did you ask Mr. Zimmerman to consent to a search and he refused?
No, we didn't ask him to consent to a search.
And the compartment that the gun was used, found that that Mr. Lefebvre referred to as a hidden compartment, that compartment. First of all, let me ask you, are you familiar with the interior of a Ridgeline?
No, I'm not.
Have you ever been in a Ridgeline before this case?
Never.
Did that compartment appear to be anything that was constructed on or added on to the center console did appear to be part of the center console.
It was,
Objection, lack of predicate. Since the witness has already said she doesn't know, not familiar with the interior of her, it's lack of predicate.
That wasn't my question.
No, repeat your question before you answer. Let me rule.
Did that appear to be anything that was constructed, added on to the center console?
I have to sustain the objection.
How were you able to open that compartment?
I had to push, there were 2 buttons there on the side, if you can see them in the picture, and pull the slide open.
So there were buttons that you push? And
Yes.
did you say you can see them in the picture?
I believe you can, yes.
Can I show you? I want to make sure I know what picture you're referring to. We're talking about this photograph?
No.
What photograph are you... All right, hold on. I think I know the photographs. I'm looking for the
Just a minute.
Let me show you these 3 photographs and tell me if you see the photograph that you was referring to a moment ago.
You can see it in this picture, yes.
Okay, let me put it on the overhead. Can you,
This is what I had to push and slide it back.
and is that how the gun was found?
Yes, that's how the gun was found, yes.
Before it was moved?
Before it was moved, yes.
So the buttons or whatever mechanism that is to open that compartment is plainly visible?
Yes.
Sustain.
Is the button or the buttons or the mechanism that opens that compartment plainly visible?
Yes.
And when you opened the compartment, was the gun plainly visible?
Yes.
Was the gun concealed by any, you see the material underneath it?
No.
I've never known.
Thank you. Any recross?
Just very briefly, Detective Hernandez, do you testify that you did not ask or request permission to search Mr. Zimmerman's vehicle? Is that correct?
Yes.
You've had training and you have experience in witness interviews, is that correct?
Yes.
Is it fair to say in your training experience that when you ask to take some photos and see if a witness will give you a simple oral statement about what happened and they call you a blonde-haired bitch, there's really not a whole lot of percentage in asking if they're willing to let you search their car?
Objection, Your Honor. It's cause for speculation.
Sustained.
Did you feel there was any purpose in asking Mr. Zimmerman if you could search the car?
Objection, it's irrelevant.
Overruled.
On maybe
Can you repeat?
Did you feel there was any purpose in asking Mr. Zimmerman to search the car on May the 11th?
Not on May the 11th, no.
And it's a lot easier to get permission than to go through the trouble of getting a search warrant, isn't that correct?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Stone also said that, you were asked, well, why not? That is to say, me, referred to the hidden compartment. Do you recall those questions?
Oh.
Mr. Stone just asked you, so do you remember when
Yes.
Mr. Lefebvre referred to the hidden compartment?
Yes.
Well, first person to call it a hidden compartment was yourself, is that correct? In your deposition.
Yes.
And you do consider it to be a hidden compartment, do you not?
I do, yes.
Any redirect?
What's the process by which you get a search warrant?
You type up an affidavit for the search warrant and the search warrant itself, and then you have to meet with the judge and have it signed, and then you execute the search warrant by video recording and reading it to the vehicle and leaving copies and return in a receipt.
Over the years, how many search warrants have you obtained?
Objection irrelevant. Your Honor, I'll just withdraw the objection.
Over the years, how many search warrants have you obtained?
I don't know the exact number, but quite a few, a lot.
So it's something that you would routinely do?
Yeah.
Objection leading.
Is it something that you would routinely do?
Yes.
I have nothing more.
Any recross?
There is none, thank you.
Okay, thank you. May Detective Fernandez be excused?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. You are excused. Thank you. Thank you. Call your next witness, please.
Claudia Umano.
You may proceed.
Thank you. What's your name, please?
Claudia Umana?
And for the record, would you please spell your last name?
Umana.
And what is your occupation?
I'm a police officer with the City of Lake Mary.
And how long have you been with the Lake Mary Police Department?
Almost 10 years.
And presently, what are your duties with the Lake Mary Police Department?
I have been a patrol officer since February of 2016.
Now, let me direct your attention to May of 2015, and specifically May 11, 2015. Did you become involved, you and other officers, involved in an investigation concerning the shooting on Lake Mary Boulevard?
I did.
And as part of that investigation, did you have contact with a person by the name of Matthew Apperson?
I did.
Do you see Mr. Apperson in the courtroom today?
Yes, sir.
Would you please identify Mr. Apperson?
He's sitting across from me.
At the counsel table in the chair closest to the jury box in the wall?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And what was the first place that you had contact with Mr. Apperson on Waymont Court?
Yes.
And from Waymont Court, did you go back to the Lake Mary Police Department? Just you, not with Mr. Apperson, but just you.
I did.
And at the Lake Mary Police Department, was an interview conducted of Mr. Apperson by Detective Hernandez.
Yes.
And after now you were not part of that interview, correct?
I was not.
After the interview, did you walk Mr. Apperson out of the police department?
I did.
And were you going to drive him someplace?
I offered to drive him to the gas station, which
What
is,
was his response to that?
he said, sweetheart, it's okay, I'm street smart.
Okay. And at some point, did he make a reference to his brother?
He did.
And what did he say about his
At this point, Your Honor,
Okay,
I beg
okay, approach. Do this to you one more time, but if you'll please put your notepads face down and follow Deputy Dennis back into the jury room. Okay, go ahead and proffer your testimony.
Yes, Your Honor. Detective Umana, did he make another remark regarding his record?
He did.
And in relationship to the remark that you just told us about, when was that remark? Was it right after? Was there more conversation in between? Was there another location? Can you just give us some sense of the relationship between that remark that you testified to and the remark about his brother?
Yes, sir. Well, as we were working down the stairs, I was walking him down through the back area, and he was just conversing with me as I was telling him if he needed a ride back to call me in case there was any issues, I would go pick him up or take him to the gas station. That's when he made the comment that I said when he told me he was street smart. Right after, he just kept talking without me asking him any questions, and that's when he mentioned about his brother. And the comment that I never asked him about his brother, but the comment he made was that the reason why he didn't get along with his brother was because he was funding George Zimmerman.
I have no more questions.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Okay, let me hear your arguments.
Well, Your Honor, as I stated at the bench, this remark was not made to Robert Hicks. And it's a remark that reflects a dislike of two things. Robert Hicks and George Zimmerman. And the analogy that I drew at the bench is, if I don't like a terrorist organization, and I know that someone is funding that terrorist organization, and I express dislike. I dislike John Smith because he's funding, Hamas. A remark like that. That shows a dislike both for John Smith and for Hamas. And that's a reasonable inference to be drawn from that remark. It wasn't made to Robert Hicks, it wasn't made to George Zimmerman, but it's a remark that reflects a dislike of both. And the dislike is relevant because one of the things I have to prove in this...
Well, but I don't get along with my brother because he's funding George Zimmerman.
Yes.
Okay, so a person can say that means he doesn't like that his brother takes money that they both are entitled to and gives it to anybody. It doesn't necessarily show ill will towards Mr. Zimmerman.
May I ask one follow-up question?
Yes, you may, of course.
What was the tone or demeanor of his when he made that remark? What was his tone, his demeanor? Did he seem upset?
He seemed annoyed when he made the comment. Just the way he said it. That's why I don't get along with my brother. That's the only thing I can remember in reference to his tone or the way that he said the comment.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you just said.
That's the only thing I remember about when he said the comment. He was just very annoyed when he made the comment.
And, it's not, the court said, well, it could be anyone. But respectfully, Your Honor, it wasn't anyone. He specifically referenced George Zimmerman. And it's not inflammatory. It's not like what was in that text. That text, I understand, was very graphic language. It's different than that.
I understood your argument, Mr. LaFay.
There's just so many, it's just even more tenuous than what the court has previously ruled was inadmissible. It could be, about the disposal of income. It could be that...
Well, I think you could cross-examine around, and I've spent enough time on this issue. Let's bring the jury in. You can ask the question. Objections overruled.
And my final argument, just for record purposes, Ron, is that I think I have to be on record saying that the prejudice would weigh any probative value. Thank you.
Okay, I understand that that's what you're saying, but I disagree. I will allow that one comment to come in. Let's bring the jury in. before. 1 second, T. Sitting here reflecting on this, I want to know what is the relevance of that comment?
One of the things that I have to prove is ill will.
How does that show ill will?
Dislike of Mr. Zimmerman. I'm upset because he's funding George Zimmerman.
I don't, what he said, he didn't say he was upset. Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought you said that Mr. Apperson said the reason he didn't get along with his brother is because he's funding George Zimmerman.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand it. That remark reflects both a dislike of his brother, and from that you can infer a dislike of George Zimmerman because he's giving money to George Zimmerman. As the same reason why the same logic of the analogy that I drew. I'm upset at someone for funding something that I don't like.
Or just for funding anything.
No, I wouldn't be upset if I wouldn't be upset at John Smith if they were funding something that I was perfectly supportive of. I would be upset with John Smith if he's funding someone that I don't like.
You may be upset with somebody because they're spending money that may also belong to you to fund anything.
That may be an inference, but it's also, that could be a reasonable inference, but it's likewise a reasonable inference. Mr. LaFay can certainly argue that and can certainly cross-examine that. But it's a fair and reasonable inference. You're funding so-and-so. I don't like so-and-so, and I don't like the thing that's being funded. That's a reasonable inference.
But there's no real cross-examination on it, Your Honor, because Detective Humana is going to say, well, I read his mind, which, number one, is an objection of unity. Yeah, he meant he didn't like the disposal this way of family income. Could mean, I'm a civil rights person and I don't like funding anti-BLM movement things. Could mean a million things. But one thing is that Detective Humana can't opine or tell us.
Well, she's only going to say what she heard him say. She's not going to give any opinion on it. But I'm just struggling to find how this is relevant.
And he doesn't say, you have to now pyramid inferences, which basically there's that whole line of case law. You're saying, well, look, he doesn't like his brother, so and now it's pyramid another inference because of the Zimmerman funding, and now it's pyramid another inference because he hates. That means he hates George Zimmerman. It's three tiers of pyramids, frankly.
You can make an inference just based upon that remark. And also one other thing, Your Honor, respectfully, this remark is not in isolation. And I asked the court to consider this remark in conjunction with all the other evidence in this case. And sometimes things that, if Mr. LaFay is arguing that it has minimal or marginal relevance in isolation, okay, so be it. But this remark isn't in isolation. This remark is made in the context of what appears to be evidence of an ongoing dispute between the two. And when you consider it in conjunction with the other evidence, it's a fair inference to make that that's what that remark meant. Mr. LaFay can certainly make the argument during closing argument that it could mean one of many things. But one of the inferences that could be reasonably and fairly drawn is that he doesn't like Mr. Zimmerman because his brother's funding Mr. Zimmerman.
I'm just going now with it. If I'm having such a problem with it, then I should err in the abundance of caution and not let it in.
Respectfully, Your Honor, that's not the standard.
It's discretion. It's discretionary. Relevance is my issue. That's what I'm grappling with.
Your Honor, the definition of relevant evidence is, does it have any tendency to prove a material fact? And what a material fact is obviously whether Mr. Apperson has ill will. And this certainly has it has some tendency to prove that. And it's well within the court's discretion to allow it. It's within the court's discretion not to allow it, to be perfectly honest. But I don't see any evidentiary issue. If this case ever winds up on appeal, this is well within the court's discretion. It's not inflammatory. He's not cursing him.
Well, it's just a comment. That's my point.
Right.
It's just a totally out of context comment. I mean, he just came from an interview. I don't know how the interview was. He was interviewed at the Waymont.
At the Lakeburg Police Department.
Well, he was also interviewed at Waymont. He gave statements at Waymont, and he was taken to the Lake Mary Police Department where he was interviewed. And I haven't heard anything about any type of ill will comments to or about Mr. Zimmerman during either one of those interviews, and that's what I'm having a problem with. He's walking out to his car. I don't know why he's having this conversation, but he is. Apparently it's not in response to any questions that are asked of him, and he makes this comment.
I understand it. And Your Honor, respectfully, I know it's not in evidence, but Mr. Lefebvre has seen it, and I've seen it, and Mr. Lefebvre, correct me if I'm wrong, but that body, when the court says interview at Waymont Court, it wasn't an interview.
Well, but he had an opportunity to say things. He talked to
his mouth. That's what he was doing.
and that's what he's doing now. And while he's running his mouth closer to the event happening, he doesn't say anything about Mr. Zimmerman and his feelings towards Mr. Zimmerman. He relays the facts as he wanted to state them. He does not go into any statements about how he feels about Mr. Zimmerman. He's then in an interview at the police station, and he doesn't state any facts, any feelings about Mr. Zimmerman. And he's now just walking out, being offered a ride, and he makes a comment that starts with, the reason why I don't get along with my brother is...
I understand, Your Honor, and I don't see how, and I hear what the court's saying, but I don't know how his failure to make any remarks about Mr. Zimmerman before that point makes what he...
Well, but you're saying it's indicative of how he feels about Mr. Zimmerman. I think it's indicative of how he feels about his brother.
Well, I don't disagree with that.
Okay, I'm going to reverse my ruling, and I'm not going to allow it in. Let's bring the jury back in.
Jurors are present.
Okay, you may proceed.
I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lefebvre, do you have any cross?
I have no further questions, thank you.
Okay, may Officer Yamana be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. You are excused. Please call your next witness.
Ronald Tamasi.
I'm sorry, the first name was?
Ronald.
Thank you.
officially, which you're proud, and you can document the personality.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon.
May I be seated?
Yes, please do.
Thank you.
Not easy to put all that stuff on. You may proceed.
What's your name, please?
Ronald Joseph Tamasi, Sr.
And Mr. Tamasi, for the record, would you please spell your last name?
Yes, sir. Tomassi.
And what is your present occupation?
I'm a security officer for Florida Hospital at Lake Mary.
Now, Mr. Tamasi, was there a time when you were a police officer with the Lake Mary Police Department?
Yes, sir.
And how long were you an officer with the Lake Mary Police Department?
I was with the Lake Mary Police Department for over 5 years.
And do you have any prior law enforcement experience?
Yes, sir, I do. I served 2 years with the Deerfield Beach, Broward County, Florida Police Department, and 28 years with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office.
And when did you retire?
Seems like years ago. September of last year, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, let me direct your attention to September of 2014.
Yes, sir.
And specifically, well, first let me ask you were working with the Lake Mary Police Department at that time?
Yes, sir, I was.
September 2014.
Yes, sir, I was.
And what were your duties with the Lake Mary Police Department?
At that particular time, I was in uniform patrol.
Now, specifically, let me direct your attention to September 9th of 2014, approximately 11:15 in the morning. And did you have an occasion to respond to the Circle K BP, gas station off of Lake Mary Boulevard?
Sir, yes, sir.
And where is that? Is that the Circle K and BP that's close to the PetSmart and the Home Depot?
Yes, sir, it is. It's next to Chick-fil-A and the same parking lot, yes.
Now, when you responded to that location, did you make contact with a person by the name of Matthew Apperson?
Yes, sir, I did.
And do you see Matthew Apperson in the courtroom today?
Yes, sir, it's the gentleman seated right in front of me.
Okay, sitting at the counsel table?
Yes, sir.
In the chair closest to the jury?
Right, gentleman to the left of me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let the record reflect that Mr. Sloss is going to be Now, when you met with Mr. Apperson, did he describe to you an event that he said to you had just occurred?
Yes, sir, he did.
And tell the jury, what was the description of the event that Mr. Apperson gave to you? What did he tell you happened?
Good afternoon. The gentleman had indicated to me that he had left his office on Waymont Court in the city of Lake Mary and had made a U-turn on Lake Mary Boulevard to proceed westbound, and that he, while traveling on Lake Mary Boulevard, was in the right-hand lane, and that he had noticed a vehicle alongside of him, that his peripheral vision showed him that the vehicle did not speed up nor slow down, but stayed even with his vehicle. Shall I? Yes, sir. At that time, the gentleman here, Mr. Apperson, had told me that he had come to a traffic light. He was listening to his music, and he happened to look to his left. And the vehicle next to him, which he described as a golden color Honda Rangeline, I think it was, the passenger window was down, and the driver was yelling at him, pointing his finger at him, or asking him, "Why did you point your finger at me?" And some profanity was used.
You can tell the jury what did Mr. Apperson say occurred and what was said.
Verbatim, sir?
Please, if you could.
Yes, sir. May I read it from my report, sir?
Refresh your recollection.
Okay. I'll ask the court to excuse me because there is some profanity in this. Excuse me. Mr. Apperson looked to his left, as I indicated, and the driver of the vehicle was yelling at him and said to him, "Why are you pointing your finger at me? I will fucking kill you. Do you know who I am?" Apologies. Okay. Yes, sir. Mr. Apperson said that at that point he believed the driver to be George Zimmerman. He then, Mr. Apperson stated to me, he proceeded further westbound to the Circle K store, and at that point in time, the vehicle allegedly followed him into the parking lot. Mr. Apperson told me that he had gone inside the store to make a call to the police and ask for help, in that he did not have his cell phone. He had left it at his job. When I asked him why was he heading this way, meaning the Circle K store, he said he was coming out just to get himself a cup of coffee when the incident occurred.
Now let me ask you, Mr. Tamasi, did you specifically ask Mr. Apperson if he ever observed a gun, or if a gun or any type of weapon was threatened against him or used by the other person or pointed at him? Did you ever ask him that question, if he observed any gun?
Sir, yes, sir, I did.
And what was his response?
I asked Mr. Apperson if there was a gun point or if he had seen a firearm. He stated he did not. I asked him if he had obtained the tag number to the vehicle, and he stated he did not. I asked if there was any independent witnesses.
This is narrative. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, could you have questions? Thank you.
What did you do after you had your conversation
Yes, sir.
with Mr. Apperson? Did you go inside the Circle K?
Yes, sir, I did.
And what was the purpose of doing that?
I wanted to see if they had any surveillance video that would show me the alleged vehicle approach Mr. Apperson, and if there was any further confrontation between the two, or if there would have been identification of George Zimmerman or a firearm displayed.
Did you do that?
Yes, sir, I did.
And what happened?
When I was able to get permission from the store to look at the video, it appeared as though it was a gold-colored range line that had, in fact, pulled up to the area where Mr. Apperson was. I did not see any body language that would be indicative of a fight or a threat of any nature. I didn't see any firearm. The driver of the vehicle, or person, let me rephrase that, person that I saw inside the vehicle had what appeared to me to be a baseball hat concealing pretty much the identity of the face.
Did you see that vehicle in any way drive at Mr. Apperson?
Drive at him?
Yes. When you're reviewing the surveillance video.
I don't believe I saw a drive at him, no.
Drive at Mr. Apperson.
I don't recall seeing the vehicle drive at him, no, sir.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes, sir, no, sir.
And was the matter pursued any further? In other words, did you take any further action after your encounter or meeting with Mr. Apperson?
Well, I'll expand on it if I can. Could not identify if that man in the vehicle was George Zimmerman. There was no firearm. I have no tag, and I have no independent witnesses. So I explained to Mr. Apperson that it would be kind of difficult for me to obtain a warrant to arrest him, and he told me he did not wish to prosecute the case.
So no further action was taken?
Right, that ended my involvement at that point.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Cross.
Thank you. Mr. Tamasi?
Counselor.
The surveillance video from the Circle K?
Yes, sir.
That was not collected as evidence, is that correct?
No, sir.
And based on your experience, they erase those things in weeks or...
Yes, sir, usually they do.
So, but you did view it as you told us, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, it's a surveillance video, so it doesn't have any sound, is that correct?
No, it did not, Counselor. It did not have any sound.
So, but you did see that ridge line, that Honda, pull right up to where Mr. Apperson was, correct?
Yes, sir. I saw the vehicle by Mr. Apperson. Yes, sir, I did.
So, and of course, the occupants of the vehicle, they were still within the vehicle, correct?
I believe so, yes, sir. Like I said, I only saw the one.
Looking at, and again, it's a surveillance videos. This was a typical surveillance video. It's going to be grainy and indistinct and not the best quality.
Oh, I'll give you that. Yes, sir, it's not the best quality.
So, but you're basically looking at the occupants inside the Honda, from their whatever, their upper
Yes,
portion of their bodies only, and they're seated, correct?
Yes, sir.
Within the vehicle. So you can't hear this. They could be saying either the nicest things or the worst things in the world. You would never know.
Correct, sir. Excuse me.
And when you say body language, you didn't see Mr. Apperson doing anything threatening. Is that correct?
No, sir. No, I did not.
If I could take one more.
Yes, you may.
Your Honor, any further questions?
Thank you. Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
May Mr. Tamasi be excused?
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir. You are excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Witness, please.
Jason Peets.
You may proceed.
Thank you. What's your name, please?
Jason Peets,
And would you please spell your first and last name for the record?
JASONPEETS.
What is your occupation, please?
I'm a police officer with Lake Mary Police Department,
And how long have you been with the Lake Mary Police Department?
approximately 6.5 years.
And what are your duties with the Lake Mary Police Department?
I'm a patrol officer.
Now, let me direct your attention to May 11th of 2015. To the early afternoon hours, and ask you, did you have an occasion to respond or go to Waymont Court in connection with a shooting, a reported shooting on Lake Mary Boulevard?
Yes, sir.
And that's the street right next to the post office on Lake Mary Boulevard?
Yes, sir.
And what was the reason, why, what prompted you to go from your location, and I'll ask you where your location was in a moment, but what prompted you to go from the location that you were at to Waymont Court?
A radio transmission that I overheard from PFC John Call stating that he had been flagged down by a person.
Objection, hearsay.
It was a radio transmission from John Call.
Yes, sir.
Now, where were you when you overheard that radio call? Where were you?
I was at Lake Road and Pew Street.
Now, let me ask you, can you give us some sense of where that is? Let's say in relationship to Lake Mary Boulevard.
It would be south of Lake Mary Boulevard, actually just a couple minutes away from the courthouse here itself.
Okay. So would it be in the vicinity of the courthouse and the college?
Yes.
And exactly what time did you get that radio transmission?
It was approximately 12:50.
12:50.
Yes, sir.
Now, when you got that radio transmission at 12:50, did you immediately start to go to that location?
Yes.
Showing Mr. LeFay a YY for identification. Your Honor, Mr. LeFay does not have objection to this.
Okay, YY will come into evidence, the state's exhibit, I believe it's 52. Am I right? 55. Okay,
So that's on state 55 now?
that's what DJ said, so I don't know where I missed. Oh, yes, she is absolutely correct, 55.
May I approach the witness?
Yes, you may.
Let me show you what's been introduced into evidence that states 55 and ask if you recognize that.
Yes, sir.
And that's a DVD.
Yes, sir.
What is that a DVD of?
The in-car video from my patrol car at the time, which was 2279.
Okay, then 2279 meaning the number of your car.
Yes.
Okay. And that commonly referred to as a dash cam?
Yes.
Okay. And have you watched that video?
Yes.
And is that video a true and accurate recording of your trip from the first time that you received the call and started to depart towards Waymont Court to the time that you arrived at Waymont Court?
Yes, it is.
Now, is there a slight break between you watched that video, correct?
Yes, I have.
Is there a slight break between two files? In other words, does one video stop and then another video immediately pick up?
Yes.
Can you explain that to the jury, please?
When the lights are activated in the car, it turns on the camera system to start recording. When I responded, I initially had the lights and sirens to run emergency code. Once things had been at least settled or people had been in contact with both parties, I turned my lights off to run just drive a routine driving pattern down the road. When I did that, I turned off the camera recording.
And at some point, did you put it back on?
Yes.
And when was that?
That was just prior to Waymont Court. As I was approaching Waymont Court, there was traffic backed up on Lake Mary Boulevard, so I turned my lights on so that I could drive into the median to get ahead of people to actually get myself into Waymont Court, which turns the video recording back on again.
And can you give us some sense between the time that the camera went off and the camera went off and then went back on? Approximately how much are we talking about?
Approximately 5 minutes.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd offer this into evidence as a state. I'd like to publish it, please.
Yes, you may.
I think there's about 5 minutes of driving time to Waymont Court. Willing to agree in any way, shape, or form that Officer Cates drove there. I guess what I'm saying is perhaps we can disagree on that as opposed to publishing the drive, the 5 minute to 6 or Is that me?
This is going to go back to the jury, and they can watch it back in the jury room.
That's correct.
If you want to publish it, you can. I'm just...
I would like to publish it, Your Honor.
You may do so. Is the back of the computer plugged in? Okay. I don't know how to help you because I don't know how your computer's set up. It's not saying that it's not compatible. I don't know what that code means. You know how to do it?
I can.
What if you hit open?
When you got in the vicinity of Waymont Court, the Lake Mary Boulevard was it backed up?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury when, on your way to Waymont Court, when did you first encounter traffic that was backing up on Lake Mary Boulevard?
Traffic had backed up westbound, so essentially I was driving westbound. I was approaching the turn lane for Waymont Court, which would have been to my left. Just prior to those turn lanes to turn into those plazas is where the traffic had backed up to.
And approximately how long did it take you to get from the location that where you were at when you first got the radio transmission to Waymont Court?
So it was approximately 12 minutes.
Now, let me approximately 10 o'clock in the morning, did you have an occasion to respond to 305 Waymont Court?
Yes.
And when you responded to that location, did you make contact with the person by the name of Matthew Apperson?
Yes.
And do you see Mr. Apperson in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Which was identified?
The gentleman to my left at that table.
Sitting at the counsel table in the chair closest to the jury box on the wall?
Yes, sir.
Who's got the record reflecting those? It's identified defendant. Did you have a conversation with Mr. Apperson upon having contact with him?
Yes.
And tell the jury what that conversation consisted of. What did you ask him? What did he tell you?
It was a call that was initiated regarding a vehicle that Mr. Apperson had seen in a parking space along one of the buildings near Waymont Court.
What did he tell you?
That he believed that this was the same vehicle which he had an encounter with 2 days prior.
And did you ask him if there were any type of any types of confrontation or problems with this vehicle?
Yes, sir.
And what was his response to that question?
That there was no contact or communication between himself and that vehicle, that he proceeded on Waymont to his office.
Did he say anything to you about a gun being displayed or threatened at him?
No.
How about the gun?
Thank you, Cross.
Officer Keats?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to first ask you about some the actions that you took on September 11th of 2014. Mr. Apperson told you first that there had not been any contact or confrontation between him and the driver of the Honda Ridgeline on that very day, September 11th.
Yes, sir.
But he was quite concerned because there had been, he told you that the driver of that same vehicle had threatened him 2 days earlier. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And he also said, I'm not sure, I don't know, but maybe they're following me. I just don't know. Is that right?
Yes.
And basically, Mr. Apperson said he just wanted to bring it to the police attention and see if there was anything to it, but if there was or there wasn't. Correct?
Correct.
And now I want to ask you about May the 11th, which you mentioned that you received a radio call and you went to Waymont Court.
Yes, sir.
And at Waymont Court, you saw Mr. Apperson there, correct?
Yes, sir.
You were wearing a body camera?
Yes.
And Mr. Apperson made some statements about, not to be questioned, but he made some statements about what had happened that day in him and Mr. Young. Is that correct?
He may very well have made statements that were recorded on my body camera, to which I wouldn't have really asked anything in reply or prodded for information, because my job on scene was to stay with that vehicle and to
Kind of secure the scene.
and allow the detectives to do their job.
You were tasked with putting up the yellow evidence tape or...
Yes.
So, but Mr. Apperson did make some statements, whatever they were, not that you were prompting him to make any statements or even questioning him further about them. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And those would be on your body, whatever statements would be on your body camera.
Yes, sir.
Can pick up, it picks up, the camera is for sound and picture.
Yes.
Just take 1 minute.
Yes, you may.
Your Honor, I don't have any further questions, but I would ask that Officer Peace be subject to recall.
Okay, let me find out, do you have any redirect?
No.
Okay. Officer Peets, you'll be excused for today, you're released for today, but you're subject to being recalled.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Call your next witness, please.
Ed Bigley.
Can I take just a moment to get some contact information for Officer
Yes.
Peace?
to issue a penalty or an update that just happened? Yeah.
I do.
Just one second, Mr. Nathaniel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Stone, you may proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Stone.
What's your name, please?
Edward Bigley,
And for the record, would you please spell your last name?
Bigley.
And what is your occupation?
I am the property evidence crime scene technician for the Winter Park Police Department.
And how long have you been with the Winter Park Police Department?
25 years.
How long have you been the crime scene technician with the Winter Park Police Department?
10 years in property and evidence, sir.
And tell the jury, what are the responsibilities, the duties of a crime scene technician?
I am everything evidence from out in the field. I'm identifying, processing, collecting, to include transporting and testifying to. Back in the office, it's my job to document, store, and maintain all that evidence to include chain of custody.
And please tell the jury your training, education, experience in that field.
Yes, sir. I graduated from Winter Park High School, and then I went into the service, served as the United States Army Military Police for 3 years. After getting out, I attended Valencia Community College and started studying my craft. In 91, I was hired by the Winter Park Police Department, where I started in dispatch. And in 2006, I moved over to property evidence, where I've been serving as a property evidence tech from there. I am a civilian employee dealing with all things evidence.
And give the jury a sense of your training and the experience and education in that particular field.
During that time, I've been to numerous in-service schools. Some of the highlights have been everything from property evidence room management. I've been to the FBI's fingerprint training program. I have been to crime scene school, a specific crime scene school. I am trained in shooting incident reconstruction, blood stain pattern analysis, and I am a graduate of the National Forensic Academy, which is a 10-week class hosted by the Department of Justice and the University of Tennessee. You may know it better as the Body Farm.
And have you testified previously in the field of the crime scene technician?
Yes, sir.
And how many times have you so testified? Approximately.
Off the top of my head, 10 plus, sir.
And over the years, and I'm not asking you to give us an exact number, but over the years, approximately how many crime scenes have you responded to and processed?
Numerous. I not only do I handle crime scene work, but all the evidence as well. That includes everything from coming in from our officers to transporting to the lab. As of this morning, I'm holding over 18,000 pieces of evidence.
Now, Mr. Bigley, let me direct your attention to May 12th of 2015. Did you become involved in an investigation regarding a shooting incident on Lake Mary Boulevard that occurred the day before?
Yes, sir.
And please tell the jury, why did Winter Park, the Winter Park Police Department, get involved, Winter Park being in Orange County, involved in a Seminole County investigation?
Certainly. Lake Mary does not have their own crime scene technicians, so they rely on others, mostly Seminole County Sheriff's Office crime scene folks, to come out and help process scenes. In this case, they needed someone that was trained in shooting incident reconstruction, and all of these Seminole County people were tied up on a drowning at Lake Jessup. So they reached out to our agency. We work well and with each other, and they reached out to us and asked for our assistance.
Now, as part of your work in this case, did you go to the impound lot located at the Lake Mary Police Department?
Yes, sir.
And when you went to the impound lot at the Lake Mary Police Department, did you conduct or perform an analysis on a particular vehicle?
I did.
And what type of vehicle was it that you did your analysis on? If you can give us maybe a year and a make.
Yes, sir. With your permission, look at my notes.
If it will refresh your recollection, yes.
Thank you. The vehicle was a 2008 gray Honda Ridgeliner.
Showing listed with a E for identification, D for identification, CC for identification, DD for identification, and AA for identification.
No objection.
Okay, without objection, States Exhibits AA through EE will come in as States Exhibits 56 through 60. Yes, ma'am.
Let me show you what's been introduced into evidence as States Exhibits 60, 59, 58, 57, and 56, and ask you if you can please look at these photographs. Do you recognize those, the vehicle depicted in those photographs?
Yes, sir.
And what do you recognize that vehicle as?
That is the vehicle I performed shooting incident reconstruction on.
Now, first, before I ask you any questions about the actual work that you did on it, I want to ask you some things about the on the window. From standing outside of the vehicle, looking into the vehicle, were you able, with the windows closed, were you able to see the interior of the vehicle?
No, sir.
And let me ask you, and I apologize for going window by window, but I'm going to ask window by window. With respect to the front, the passenger side front window, with that window closed, standing outside of the vehicle, looking inside, can you see through that window?
No, sir, not that I recall.
And the side passenger window, the rear side passenger window, with that window all the way up, would you be able to see inside the vehicle?
No, sir.
Same question with regard to the driver's side windows. With regard to the front driver's side window, with that window all the way up, are you able to see inside that vehicle?
No, sir, not that I recall.
And with regard to the driver's side, the rear driver's side window, are you, with the window completely up, are you able to see inside of the vehicle?
No, sir.
Now, and let me ask you, the back window, the window that's behind the cabin, the driver and the passenger's cabin, that's in the back of the truck. Are you able, with that window completely closed, are you able to see inside of that window?
I was not able to.
Now, during the course of your analysis in this case, did you observe what you termed to be defects?
I did.
And tell us when you use the term defect, what do you mean?
In this case, it would be a bullet hole.
And tell the jury, and we're going to get into each defect one by one, but tell the jury, during the course of your analysis, how many defects did you observe? Total number of defects have you observed?
Total number is 5.
And how did you designate those defects?
By letters, A through F. Or is it A through E, sir?
Would it refresh your recollection to your report?
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, we marked B as the inside of the passenger window, so that's why we used F. There's a total of 5 holes.
Showing Mr. LeFay triple K for identification and triple I for identification.
Did you say K and I?
I'm sorry?
Triple K?
Triple K
And I.
Triple I.
Okay, thank you.
No objection.
Okay, without objection, triple I will come into evidence as State's Exhibit 61. Triple K will come in as State's Exhibit 62.
Yeah, approach.
Yes, you may.
Let me show you what's been introduced into evidence as State 62 and State 61, and ask you if you recognize.
Yes, sir, I recognize it.
And
Yes,
what
sir.
do you recognize those photographs as?
That is the entry into the passenger side window, defect A.
And that's what you designated defect A.
I did.
If I can publish this.
Yes, you may.
And this, what I'm showing you right now, is State's Exhibit 61. Let me show you State's Exhibit 62. That's a close-up of defect A.
Yes, sir.
Now, did you designate another defect as defect B?
I did, sir.
And what is defect B?
That is the inside of the passenger window.
And show me, Mr. Lefebvre, triple M and triple P for identification.
Are you seeing M as in Michael or N as in nickel?
As in, M as in Michael.
Okay, thank
And
you.
triple P.
No objection.
Okay, without objection, triple M as in Michael will come into evidence as State's Exhibit 63. Triple P will be State's Exhibit 64.
May I proceed? Let me show you 63 and 64 and ask you if you recognize these photographs.
Yes, sir.
And what do you recognize these photographs as?
That is defect B.
let me, the overhead. And you have a laser pointer, I think, sitting in front of you. With use of the laser pointer, can you show us what you've designated defect B?
Right there, sir.
Let me show you 64. Is this a close-up
Yes, sir, it is.
of defect B?
Yes, sir.
Now, did you, as part of your analysis, designate two defects as C and D?
I did.
And what are C and D?
C and D are two holes in the headliner above the driver's area of the cab.
Showing Mr. Levay triple W and triple X. For
No objection.
Okay, without objection, triple W will come in as State's Exhibit 65, and triple X will be State's Exhibit 66.
May I approach the witness room?
Yes, it may.
Let me show you 66 and 65 and ask you if you recognize these photographs.
Yes, sir.
And what do you recognize them as?
That is defect C and defect D.
And let me put it on the overhead. Can you show us, first of all, what does this photograph depict? Now, besides the defect, where is the defect located?
This is above the driver's part of the cabin in the headliner.
And what I'm showing you now is 65, and let me show you 66. It's not focusing. And 66 shows the defect C and D.
Yes, sir, it does.
And did you determine what caused those two defects?
I did.
And what caused those two defects?
When the bullet goes through the window, from the passenger window, part of the bullet breaks off. Part of the jacket comes off of the bullet. And what you're seeing there is defect C is the actual bullet itself. Defect D is the jacket or part of the core that broke off from the bullet.
And what's a jacket to a bullet?
So the makeup of a bullet is you have the core, the inside of the bullet, and then it's wrapped around with a jacket, or it's usually a piece of copper or lead. And in this case, part of that breaks off, and that's what forms defect D.
Now, did you also designate two defects as E and F?
I did.
And what were E and F?
Defect E is the bullet that continues through the headliner from C. It goes to E, and that's where it stops. It terminates. Defect F is the part of the bullet that broke off, and it terminates in the wiring housing on the side of the vehicle.
Yes, you may.
Try Mr. LeFay for identification. 4K, 4J, 4H, 4G, 4E, 4D, 4C, 3B,
Wait, 3B.
3B.
We already have 3B as State's Exhibit 1.
I'm sorry, 4B. I apologize. 4B. 4B and triple Z and 4I.
No objection.
Okay, so State's Exhibit Triple Z will come into evidence as State's Exhibit 67. 4B through 4E will be 68 through 71. 4G will be State's Exhibit 72 through, 4G through K will be 72 through 76.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Did I miscount?
Well, I think it's, I'm not.
Okay, well, what are we not agreeing with?
We're not getting the base number system, so the previous two photographs, which are defects E and F, can you give me the exhibit numbers?
Okay, Exhibit Triple W is 65, Triple X is 66. Triple Z will be 67. Are you caught up?
I am.
Okay, then we have 4B will be 68, 4C will be 69, 4D will be 70, 4E will be 71, 4G will be 72, 4H is 73, 4I is 74, 4J is 75, and 4K is 76. Are we together, DJ? Yes. Okay, do you have it? You're welcome. After this set of photos, would it be a good time to break?
I'm sorry?
After this set of photos, would it be a good time to break?
You break today?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so after the photos, we'll recess for the evening.
Yes.
He didn't do 4A or 4F.
Let me approach her.
Yes, you may.
Show you what's been introduced into evidence as State's Exhibit 76, 75, 73, 68, 69, 70, 67, 71, 72, and 74. And I ask you if you could please look at those photographs. You recognize those photographs?
Yes, sir, I do.
And what do you recognize those photographs as?
Documentation of E and F, the defects.
And let me, and with the use of the laser pointer, I'm going to ask you some questions about it. Let me show you State's Exhibit 74. And what does State's Exhibit 74 show?
It's a picture of the headliner removed from the vehicle so that you can see where the actual bullet terminates into the frame.
I'm showing you 72. Actually, let me show you 71 first. 71. What does 71 show?
That's where the bullet is a little bit closer in this case, but you can actually see where it...
Can you use the laser pointer?
Sorry. Where it actually embeds into the frame here.
Now, I'm going to show you the other photographs that are closer, but is there also another defect that you noted?
Yes, sir.
Show us where that is.
The piece that broke off the bullet ends up here in the wiring harness. That's why it's pushed back here.
This is 67.
Same thing here. What I'm doing is I'm using my flashlight to light it up a little bit better.
This is 72.
72 is an even closer shot of the defect where it terminates into the frame. Below it, you can...
I'm sorry.
Below it, you can actually see where the wire is pushed back a little bit better there.
And we showed you were 73.
Even closer now, you can see where the main defect is, and you can actually see here the wire harness actually grabbed onto that other part of the bullet and was pushed back.
Let me show you a 76.
This is where it documents F, where you can actually see where it's pushed into the harness, where the wires are actually cut from the pushback.
Let me show you now 75.
And that's going to be defect E.
And the defect E is the defect that was created by the main core of the bullet itself?
It is.
All right, I think this is probably a good time.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll recess for the evening. Was 8:30 a good time for you to be here? Okay. We'll be at recess and like to start the trial at 8:30 in the morning, so if you start gathering around 8:20 downstairs in the jury room. During the overnight recess, please don't read or listen to any radio, television, or newspaper reports about the case. Do not drive by any of the places described in the evidence for the purpose of doing an independent investigation. Do not use any type of an electronic device to go on the internet to do independent research about the case, people, places, things, or terminology. Do not read or create any emails, text messages, blogs, tweets, or social networking pages about the case. Do I have your assurances that you will abide by these instructions? Okay, if you'll put your notepads face down, have a good evening. Follow Deputy Secretary. It sounds like it's raining out there, so I don't have umbrellas for you. Okay, I'm not going to let anybody leave. He didn't introduce 4F. No. Okay, Mr. Bigley, we're going to recess for the evening. If you'll be back here at 8:30 in the morning, and we'll get started with all our jurors. During the overnight recess, please don't discuss your testimony with anybody, including the lawyers, because you're effectively still on the stand.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. Nobody leaves until we have all the evidence. Now, there is a question, 4F, you didn't introduce that into evidence, right?
No.
Okay, that's DJ needs to.
see one. No, I'm going to say, well,